The first time humanity encountered the Zethar, it was nothing like the moment of awe and wonder they had hoped for. The Zethar, an ancient and vastly powerful alien race, regarded themselves as the supreme beings in the universe. With technology far beyond anything humans had ever seen, they saw Earth and its inhabitants as little more than primitive, almost pitiful creatures. The Zethar viewed humans as nothing more than savages, too unrefined and backward to be considered worthy of serious attention. Their ships, massive and sleek, hovered above the planet like gods looking down on ants. The humans had never seen such sophistication and technology, and though they marveled at the Zethar's advancements, it also filled them with a creeping sense of fear. The Zethar had spoken openly of their superiority, making it clear that humanity had no place in the vast cosmic order. They mocked the Earth's progress, dismissing human achievements as little more than primitive trial and error. As humanity grappled with this reality, an unexpected event shifted the entire course of their history. In the quiet, endless expanse of space, something entirely unforeseen appeared. It began with a signal, a strange, untraceable pulse that hummed across space, causing the Zethar's most sophisticated sensors to glitch and buzz with confusion. From the moment it was detected, it was clear that this was no ordinary phenomenon. A massive alien ship, unlike anything the Zethar had ever seen, was approaching Earth's solar system. It wasn't just large, it was colossal, looming like a shadow in the distance. The Zethar quickly dispatched a fleet of their own ships to observe, their commanders puzzled by the strange unmarked vessel. This ship was unlike any they had ever encountered. It radiated energy on a scale that defied their understanding. And no matter how hard they tried, their technology could not make sense of its readings. This ship wasn't sending any known signals. It wasn't following any known patterns, and its design was nothing like the Zethar's familiar aesthetics. The Zethar's advanced systems struggled to analyze the ship, creating an eerie silence of confusion among their ranks. What was this strange visitor? Was it a new force? Was it a weapon? The Zethar, for the first time in centuries, found themselves unsure. The Zethar had long ruled the stars with ease. They had never feared any species, until now. A creeping sense of unease spread through the alien ranks as the mysterious ship continued its journey towards Earth. The Zethar's leadership debated sending a warning to humanity or attempting a peaceful exchange, but deep down, they felt it wasn't necessary. They assumed that, like all other species, humans would bow before their overwhelming power, too terrified to fight back. After all, how could these so-called savages possibly stand against such overwhelming might? But as the alien ship drew closer, humanity's response was far from what the Zethar had expected. Earth, which the Zethar had long considered a forgotten backwater of the universe, had been preparing, quietly and efficiently, long before this alien vessel ever appeared. Hidden away in Earth's military and scientific corridors, humanity had been working tirelessly, developing technology in secret, far beyond what the Zethar had ever imagined. The moment the mysterious ship entered Earth's orbit, humans didn't retreat in fear. They didn't cower. Instead, they went on high alert. Military forces scrambled into action. Scientists and engineers began coordinating, communicating across continents, quickly analyzing the strange ship's approach. Though they were uncertain of the threat, they were prepared to face it. Humanity, despite the Zethar's contempt, had not forgotten how to fight for survival. The Zethar, who had watched Earth's actions with disdain, now felt a strange knot of fear in their chest. What if their assumption was wrong? What if humanity was capable of more than they had ever realized? With their superior technology failing to make sense of the situation, the Zethar leaders began to question their own arrogance. Could they really predict what was about to unfold? As the strange ship grew closer, the Zethar's confidence wavered for the first time in generations. The moment of reckoning had arrived, and they had no idea what to expect from the humans they had long dismissed. As the mysterious vessel's shadow grew larger in Earth's sky, the Zethar were left with an unsettling realization. They had underestimated the one species they thought was the easiest to ignore. The humans had never been the meek, primitive creatures the Zethar had imagined. They had not only survived, but thrived, waiting for the right moment to prove they were more than what the galaxy had thought. The stage was set, and humanity's response to this unknown threat was about to become the turning point in the galaxy's history. The enormous alien ship finally touched down on Earth with a deafening roar that sent ripples through the atmosphere. It was not like anything humanity had ever seen. The Zethar, watching from their observation posts in orbit, felt a chill run through their ranks. The ship's size alone was enough to send a wave of fear through the most seasoned alien commanders. It was larger than anything in Earth's fleet, larger than anything humanity had ever conceived. Its sleek, metallic surface gleamed under the sunlight, unlike any material the Zethar had encountered before. But what truly stunned the Zethar was the recognition that the ship was not built by any alien race. It was human-made. Their disbelief grew as they analyzed the ship's structure. It was unlike any known Earth vessel, with strange designs, sharp contours, and a hull that seemed to hum with energy. But even more shocking were the weapons and defenses that it carried, energy shields that glowed with an intensity that put the Zethar's best technology to shame, and weapons capable of unleashing unimaginable destruction. The Zethar had always believed humans to be weak, unrefined, their technology centuries behind the rest of the galaxy. But now, they were confronted with a reality that shook them to their core. In a moment of confusion and frustration, the Zethar decided to send a diplomatic delegation to Earth. They assumed the humans, with their pride and curiosity, would be eager to share the secrets of their newly advanced technology. The Zethar believed that with a few words, they could bend humanity to their will, as they had done with so many other species. When the delegation landed, they were met with a stark silence. Humanity didn't greet them with awe or fear, but with cold indifference. The human leaders, standing before the Zethar's envoys, were unshaken. In response to the Zethar's demands for information, the humans made a single, powerful statement. "Leave Earth alone. We'll handle our own business." The Zethar were taken aback. How dare these savages speak to them in such a way? A mixture of amusement and anger bubbled up among the Zethar diplomats. They had come to Earth expecting a quick resolution, expecting humans to bow to their superior power. Instead, they were met with defiance, something they had not encountered in centuries. The Zethar's arrogance fueled their response. "You will regret this," one of their commanders sneered, and their minds began to shift towards a far more brutal course of action. The Zethar had seen many worlds, many species, but they had never encountered one so bold, so willing to stand in the face of a force that could obliterate them in an instant. The Zethar's initial strategy was to engage in a peaceful display of dominance, but now their plans shifted. They would teach the humans their place. They would show Earth's inhabitants what true power looked like, and once again, they would rule the galaxy without question. The invasion was inevitable. The fleet was already being mobilized, and the Zethar's eyes burned with the desire to break humanity's spirit. But just as the Zethar were preparing their assault, an unexpected event unfolded. Without warning, the mysterious human ship fired. A single concentrated beam of energy, unlike anything the Zethar had ever seen. The beam cut through space with incredible precision, striking the Zethar's largest battle cruiser, a ship that had once been an unstoppable force in the galaxy. The ship, crippled by the blast, lost all power and began to drift aimlessly, its shields shattered. The Zethar forces in orbit went into a panic. Their most advanced warship, the crown jewel of their fleet, had been disabled by a single shot from a human-made vessel. The horror of the situation hit them like a thunderclap. The humans were not what they had believed them to be. They were not helpless, and they were not afraid. The message was clear. Earth was no longer a weak, insignificant world. The Zethar had miscalculated, and now they were beginning to realize just how badly they had underestimated humanity. As the Zethar scrambled to regain control, the humans, emboldened by their success, made an unspoken declaration. They had shown the galaxy that they were not to be trifled with. The battle for Earth had just begun, and the Zethar had no idea what they were truly up against. The first strike had been fired, and humanity was no longer content to cower in the shadow of alien powers. They had proven their worth, and the Zethar would soon learn that Earth would not be conquered so easily. The war for survival had begun, and the stakes had never been higher. The war had begun. The Zethar, furious and determined to quash the humans' defiance once and for all, launched a massive assault on Earth. Waves of their sleek, menacing warships descended from the skies, their engines roaring as they cut through space with terrifying speed. The Zethar had never known failure, and they had no reason to believe that Earth, still a relatively young and savage world by their standards, would pose any real threat. Their fleet was vast, their weaponry unmatched, and their numbers overwhelming. As their ships arrived in Earth's atmosphere, the Zethar commanders believed it would be an easy victory. Earth would crumble beneath the might of their superior technology, and humanity's brief moment of resistance would be forgotten. But to the Zethar's surprise, humanity did not shrink in fear. The people of Earth, united like never before, stood firm. The world's governments, scientific communities, and military forces, once fragmented and often at odds, now came together as one. The people of Earth, from the largest cities to the smallest villages, rallied behind a single cause: survival. There was no question of surrender, no whispers of negotiation. The Zethar could take their ships and their threats elsewhere. Humanity had learned, in the most brutal way possible, that their survival depended on fighting back, and they were more than ready to do so. At the heart of this unexpected human resistance was a charismatic and brilliant leader, someone who understood the importance of both strategy and innovation. This leader, who had once been a quiet scientist, became the face of humanity's fight against the alien invaders. With an iron will and a clear vision, they led humanity to adapt the technology discovered on the mysterious ship. What had once seemed like an overwhelming force from another galaxy was now the key to humanity's survival. Using the advanced alien technology, humans began modifying their own ships, enhancing their weapons and shields. They reverse-engineered the alien energy signatures, creating powerful energy blasts that were devastatingly accurate and incredibly potent. The Zethar, who had believed that no one could stand against their might, now faced an enemy capable of striking back with incredible force. As the first battles unfolded, the humans, though still outnumbered, began to fight with precision and purpose. They learned quickly, adapting their tactics after every skirmish. The once dominant Zethar fleet, which had initially overwhelmed Earth's defenses, began to suffer setbacks. Each defeat, no matter how small, chipped away at the Zethar's confidence. They had underestimated the humans, assuming they would scatter in fear. But now, the Zethar realized that they had awakened something far more dangerous: the fierce determination of a species fighting for its existence. Humanity's response was relentless. They struck back with calculated ferocity, using the stolen alien technologies to gain the upper hand. With each victory, their forces grew stronger, their tactics more refined. And soon, the Zethar, who had once considered Earth an insignificant blip in the cosmos, found themselves struggling to maintain control. The pride they had once held so dearly was replaced by a creeping unease. Their fleets, once so powerful and feared, were now losing ground. The humans, against all odds, were winning. The battle for Earth reached its most crucial moment in orbit, as a decisive confrontation between the two forces took place high above the planet. In the shadow of Earth's blue skies, the humans unleashed their newly developed weapons, laser beams and energy blasts that sliced through the Zethar's battlecruisers with terrifying accuracy. One by one, the Zethar ships fell, their shields unable to withstand the power of humanity's firepower. The Zethar forces, reeling from the unexpected onslaught, began to retreat. Their once proud fleet was in shambles, their superiority shattered. In the blink of an eye, panic spread through the Zethar ranks, but the humans were undeterred. Though they had won this battle, they knew that the war was far from over. The Zethar may have retreated, but they still had vast resources at their disposal. Humanity had proven something the Zethar had never expected, that they were not just survivors, but warriors. The humans had unlocked a strength they never knew they had, and the Zethar now realized that they had awakened a force that could not be easily defeated. This victory was only the beginning. As Earth's forces regrouped and prepared for the inevitable next wave, the humans knew they had made their mark. The Zethar had no idea who they were truly dealing with. The fight was far from over, and humanity was ready for whatever came next. The will to fight for survival burned brighter than ever, and the Zethar would soon learn that humanity would never back down. The Zethar, having suffered their first significant defeat at the hands of humanity, now regrouped in the cold void of space, their fury burning hotter than ever. Their commanders, once filled with confidence, now found themselves desperate and furious. The once invincible fleet had been humbled by a race they considered primitive, but the Zethar were not the kind to bow to failure. They quickly devised a plan to crush the Terran resistance once and for all. This time, they would not rely solely on brute force. Instead, they would deploy a devastating new weapon, an ancient device capable of annihilating entire cities, and perhaps even the planet itself. The Zethar were determined to finish what they had started, and they would not allow humanity's defiance to go unanswered. On the ground, however, humanity continued to surprise the invaders. In the face of the seemingly unstoppable alien threat, humanity's resilience had only grown. The Terran resistance, as they now called themselves, had emerged from the ashes of the early battles, a united force determined to protect their world. Under the leadership of the brilliant scientist who had once reverse-engineered the alien ship, humanity had developed a new fleet of ships, faster, stronger, and far more lethal than anything the Zethar had ever encountered. These ships, built using the very technology that had once been used to invade Earth, were now a symbol of human ingenuity and defiance. Humanity's newfound technological superiority was clear, and the Zethar realized, with growing unease, that this was no longer a war they could win easily. The Terran resistance launched a daring counterattack that took the Zethar by surprise. Their target, a Zethar command center located on a nearby moon, far from Earth's orbit but strategically important to the alien forces. It was a risky move, but the humans were no strangers to danger. The resistance, using their newly developed ships, infiltrated the Zethar's stronghold with precision and stealth. As they fought their way through the Zethar defenses, they discovered something that shocked them to their core. The alien ship they had once feared was not, in fact, an invasion ship, but an ancient relic. Hidden deep within the ship's systems was a truth that had been kept from humanity. The vessel had not been left by an invading force, but by a long-lost race of aliens who had once tried to protect humanity from the Zethar. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Terran resistance. The ship had been meant to shield Earth from the Zethar's tyranny, but the ancient civilization that had built it had vanished long before the Zethar arrived in this corner of the galaxy. The Zethar, upon discovering this powerful relic, had attempted to harness its power for their own conquest, never understanding the ship's true purpose. This discovery changed everything. The Terran resistance now understood that their fight wasn't just about survival. It was about protecting the legacy of the ancient race that had once hoped to keep humanity safe. The Zethar had no idea what they were truly up against. As the humans began to absorb the gravity of their discovery, the Zethar's ultimate weapon was activated. A massive, planet-shattering device, unlike anything Earth had ever seen, was now set into motion. The Zethar had no intention of leaving anything to chance. They would erase humanity from the galaxy, wiping away any trace of their existence. Earth, a world once seen as insignificant, was now a target for total destruction. As the weapon hummed to life, the Terran resistance knew they were facing the fight of their lives. The weapon was capable of unleashing devastating destruction, and they had little time to stop it. But the Terran resistance had one last card to play. With the knowledge they had uncovered about the alien ship and its true purpose, they began to work quickly to tap into the ship's power. The ship's ancient energy source, a force unlike anything the Zethar had ever encountered, could be turned into a weapon strong enough to counter the Zethar's destructive device. If they could harness it in time, humanity might just stand a chance. The stage was set for Earth's final stand, and the pressure weighed heavily on the shoulders of every fighter, every scientist, every engineer who had worked tirelessly to prepare for this moment. With the Zethar's weapon now activated, and humanity's last hope resting on the fragile edge of a knife, the Terran resistance made their move. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and as the ancient relic hummed with newfound power, the Terran resistance knew they were about to make a decision that would change the course of the war and the future of humanity, forever. The final battle had begun, and Earth's survival would be decided by the strength of its will to fight. The final confrontation had arrived. The Zethar's weapon, an immense device capable of destroying Earth from the core, was now fully activated. With its power humming ominously, the planet's fate hung in the balance. The Terran resistance, led by their fearless commander, knew this was their last chance to save humanity. In a coordinated assault, the Terran fleet, now fully equipped, with the advanced alien technology they had reverse-engineered, launched a full-scale attack on the Zethar mothership, the heart of the weapon's power. The battle that followed was nothing short of legendary, an all-out war that raged across the vastness of space and the surface of Earth. The sky above Earth was filled with the explosive flashes of lasers and energy beams as ships from both sides clashed. On the ground, humanity's forces fought with unmatched determination, knowing that the outcome of this battle would decide not just the fate of their world, but the future of the galaxy itself. The Zethar, unwilling to concede defeat, made a last-ditch effort to cripple humanity's chances. Their mothership, a colossal war machine, launched the ultimate attack. With a calculated precision, the Zethar fired their weapon directly at Earth's core. The shock waves from the blast sent violent tremors through the planet, threatening to tear it apart. Earth's very foundation began to crack, and for a brief moment it seemed as though the end was inevitable. Humanity watched in terror as the ground shook beneath their feet, and the skies above darkened with the energy of destruction. But the Terran resistance, driven by the strength of their newfound knowledge, wasn't about to give up. Using the ancient technology from the mysterious alien ship, they managed to synchronize their fleet's energy systems. The technology that had once been a mystery to them was now the key to their survival. As the Zethar weapon continued to power up, humanity's fleet unleashed a synchronized wave of energy that surged through the air and space. The energy from the alien ship's relics counteracted the devastating weapon, creating a protective barrier around the planet's core. The weapon faltered, its pulse weakening, and for the first time, the Zethar began to realize that humanity was not only capable of surviving, they were capable of winning. The battle raged on as the Terran forces pressed their advantage. The Zethar mothership, now crippled by the failed weapon, became a target of relentless assault. The humans, using every ounce of their strength and ingenuity, pressed forward, knowing they were on the brink of victory. The Zethar, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves on the defensive. Their forces, although still formidable, could not match the relentless resolve of humanity. The humans' ships, faster and more powerful than ever, tore through the alien fleet, their weapons now perfectly calibrated to exploit the weaknesses of Zethar technology. With every shot, with every strike, humanity's presence in space grew stronger, while the Zethar's forces slowly diminished. The final, decisive moment came when the Terran fleet reached the Zethar mothership. In an epic showdown, humanity's best pilots and warriors fought their way through the alien defenses. The Zethar's elite forces, once thought to be invincible, fell one by one. The mothership, crippled and burning, descended toward Earth's atmosphere. The Terran resistance, in one final coordinated strike, destroyed the ship. The once feared Zethar forces, shattered and disorganized, retreated into the void, their empire broken beyond repair. As the last Zethar ship fell from the sky, the Terran resistance stood victorious. The skies over Earth, once darkened by the shadow of alien invaders, were now clear. Humanity had not only survived the invasion, they had driven the Zethar back, ensuring that Earth would remain free. The commander of the Terran resistance, their voice strong and unwavering, stood before the gathered forces. As the final Zethar ship disintegrated in the distance, the commander spoke words that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. "We are no longer savages. We are the future." The words marked a new era for humanity. They were no longer seen as weak or primitive. They had proven that they could stand against the might of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Earth, once thought to be insignificant, had now become a symbol of resilience and strength. The Zethar, defeated and broken, would never again threaten the human race. Humanity had fought for their survival and had won. The galaxy, now aware of humanity's true potential, would never again underestimate them. The war was over, but the story of Earth's victory was only just beginning.